Over 600 of you guys voted for the community's perfect Mario Kart roster, and you guys want to know who got the highest rating? That's right, it was Luigi. I had over 120 characters listed on a Google form, and you guys had to rate each character on a scale from 0 to 5, 0 being they would have no chance appearing in your perfect Mario Kart roster, and a 5 being they would 100% appear in your perfect Mario Kart roster. Luigi was actually tied for the highest average rating of 4.8872 with none other than Bowser. After that, the next two characters were Yoshi and Mario, both with averages of 4.88 and 4.87 respectively. And following Mario, we have four characters you're probably very familiar with: Donkey Kong, Toad, Peach, and Wario. That fills up the entire top row, and let me tell you guys, these are the 8 characters that are default in Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Super Circuit, and Mario Kart DS. So you guys knew what you were doing when it came to creating the perfect Mario Kart roster. Speaking of Mario Kart DS, I have a feeling that game may have influenced some of your decisions as well, because these next 4 characters have an appearance in Mario Kart DS as well. We are talking about Waluigi, who is actually tied with Wario in votes. Then we have Shy Guy, Daisy, and Dry Bones. 3 of those 4 characters being unlockable in Mario Kart DS. The other, Shy Guy, is a character you can only access in Mario Kart DS via DS download play. Following Dry Bones, we have Koopa Troopa, the Super Mario Kart veteran, with an average of 4.607 rating, and Rosalina just barely behind Koopa Troopa. Rounding out that second row, ladies and gents, you guys have King Boo and Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. having an average of 4.55 repeating. Kicking off the third row, we have Diddy Kong, followed by Toadette, and then a character that I did not include in my perfect Mario Kart roster, but you guys decided to include it. It's the Mii. That's right, the Mii, the character that you can customize into any character, what you want. Makes perfect sense that you guys would include the Mii into your roster, and fair play to you. Next, the Double Dash exclusive character until he appeared in Mario Kart Tour, PD Piranha, with an average rating of 4.209, followed by the Tour exclusive character King Babam, a character that a lot of you guys seem to fall in love with, especially with his recent appearances in Mario Golf Super Rush, and like I said, the aforementioned Mario Kart Tour. And now a character that I thought would be much higher than the third row, we have Funky Kong with an average rating of 4.18, which is still a very respectable rating, but I'm just surprised that he was not as highly rated as some of the other characters were, especially how he did in the character voting tournament. And lastly, the 2 characters to wrap up this third row of characters, we have Kamek and Dry Bowser being the first character with a rating of below 4. Dry Bowser has a rating of 3.9735. You can start to see that these charts and curves are starting to get a little more flat. Now we enter the fourth row, ladies and gents, and this is where things start to get interesting. First up, we have Pauline, the first initial Tour exclusive Mario Kart character. Makes a lot of sense. You guys really like Pauline, especially with her appearances in Mario Strikers and Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush. She was the first exclusive character to appear in Mario Kart Tour. She's been there since the very beginning, so I'm glad that you guys have Pauline in this roster. Not many of you guys actually wanted this character 100% in your roster, but they would maybe 80-60% appear in your roster, and that is Birdo with an average rating of 3.71. Now next up is the Hammer Bro. I know in my perfect roster, the Boomerang Bro is my favorite of the Hammer Bros. I know if it was the perfect Mario Kart roster, all the other bros would probably be a drop-down menu under that main Hammer Bro, so you could have the option to play as all of those different Hammer Bros. That would be the ideal way, but I had to include them as separate characters, and regardless, Hammer Bro made the cut for you guys. Next up is another Tour exclusive Mario Kart character. We have Nabbit with an average rating of 3.52. We love to see it. And then we have a sandwich of babies, starting with Baby Luigi, then Rob of all characters, and then Baby Mario. I remember I made a last second adjustment to swap out Captain Toad with Rob for my perfect Mario Kart roster, and you guys decide to include Rob in yours as well. Will Rob be the only non-Mario character to appear in your guys' perfect roster? As we finish this fourth row, we have Dixie Kong. Definitely not bad choices for your guys' perfect roster. And before we get started on this fifth row, guys, I just want to let you know, if you are new here, I do a lot of community interactive activities like this all the time, whether it's through Google Forms or the community polls on my community tab on my channel. We have massive interactive voting tournaments with you guys that we turn into huge community rankings. So if a lot of that sounds fun to you guys, make sure you subscribe. I've got a lot more of that sort of stuff coming, and I hope you're looking forward to it. Let's get started with the fifth row and see you guys include in the rest of your ideal Mario Kart roster. Now, kicking off the fifth row is a character that has actually never appeared in a Mario Kart game before. We have Professor Egad. That is correct. A character that I believe was slated to be a Mario Kart DS, but was scrapped before the game was finalized. And now you guys are giving him his rightful justice as a character slot in your ideal Mario Kart game. How would you guys feel about that? Next up is a couple of obscure characters. Let's start with Monty Mole, which I'm a little bit shocked about considering the slack you guys gave him during the tournament series. And then Wiggler, not a bad choice for Mario Kart 7. And following Wiggler is kind of the strangest choice in my opinion for you guys is the Goomba. The Goomba, the first character to have a rating of below 3. His rating has 2.94. Obviously, the chart is starting to flatline now with all of your opinions, but that's just how things are going to go. He is the 36th most popular character out of 120, which is still really good, top 30%. So I'm really curious on your guys' reasoning for why you would think Goomba deserves to appear in a future Mario Kart game. Next up, we have another character that has not been featured in a Mario Kart game before this, and this is Toadsworth. Curious if he will get an appearance in Mario Kart Tour or maybe a Mario Kart 8 DLC at some point if they do a character pass. But again, with a rating of just below 3, Toadsworth barely makes it into your roster. And now let's finish off this penultimate row. We have Charge and Chuck, who is a Tour exclusive character. Then we have King K. Rool, who isn't a character in Smash Ultimate, but is not a character in a Mario Kart game just yet. We will see if he gets a Sluggers type treatment and gets into a Mario spin-off game like the Mario Kart series. But you guys will include him into your perfect Mario Kart roster. And the last character in this penultimate row is Spike. Definitely not 4-Man Spike from the Mario movie or the future Mario movie as of this recording, but Spike, the common enemy from the new Super Mario Brothers games and Mario Tennis Aces. He's a really fun character, and I do understand that you guys would want to see Spike in a future Mario Kart game. Now, ladies and gents, we are entering the final row of this perfect Mario Kart roster. Hope you guys are enjoying it so far. And first up, we have another non-Mario character entering the fray, and it's not even a character that has been playable in a previous Mario game like Mario Kart 8. No, it is actually Kirby, which is very shocking to me. We all know Kirby has Kirby Air Ride as its racing game, but I'm very surprised that you guys want Kirby in your perfect Mario Kart roster. Did not appear in mine just because I think it's a little bit too past the Mario scale, but hey, if freaking Animal Crossing can make it into Mario Kart, then I assume Kirby can make it too, and a lot of you guys seem to have liked that idea as well. Next up, we have a string of Koopalings, starting off with Ludwig, the highest rated Koopaling at 2.777. Repeating, love to see it, but just barely behind is Roy. I think they were actually 1 point off, so that is very funny to see. And following Roy is Lemmy. Will we get every Koopaling in here? Well, that is absolutely false. That will not happen, because next up, breaking the Koopaling streak is Captain Toad. For some reason, this is the 4th Toad character, and his rating is 2.66. You love to see it, but I'm very interested. 4 Toad characters in a 48 character roster. Do you guys think that's a little bit too much? Sound off in the comments below. I think it might be. Remember, I switched Captain Toad out of my perfect Mario Kart roster. I feel like 3 Toads, Toad, Toadette, and Toadsworth. And if you want to add some colored Toads in there to increase the amount of Toads, that would make sense. Or have Captain Toad be a drop down of Toad. But in your guys' perfect Mario Kart roster, Captain Toad gets its own character slot. Let's finish off this roster strongly. We have Morton Koopa, the last Koopaling that will be featured in this perfect roster. Then we have another non-Mario character making his appearance in a Mario Kart game for the very first time based on your community votes. This is Captain Falcon. Nope, not Link, not Villager, Isabelle, or any of the Inklings. Captain Falcon, the main character of the F-Zero games. He knows all too much about racing, so it makes perfect sense that you guys would vote for him. Again, his graph is a little bit flatter than usual than the other characters that we've seen before, but that's just how it's going to be. Captain Falcon gets your guys' vote. And lastly, who do you guys think will be the last character? Well, it's going to be anticlimactic. It's Paratroopa. Okay. Paratroopa gets the 48th vote, beating out a couple of the other Koopalings. That is hilarious. But Paratroopa with an average vote of 2.59. That is wild. And with Paratroopa just squeaking in to this 48 character roster, that means every single character that was playable in Mario Kart Double Dash is now featured in your guys' perfect 48 character roster. Now, I'm just going to real quick shuffle these characters up into a probable what a Mario Kart roster grid might look like with all these characters if they were the only characters playable. And boom, look at that. This is what the roster would look like. Do you guys agree with the entire community? Over 600 of you guys voted. Do you guys think this would be the perfect Mario Kart character roster if you guys had 48 slots? According to all of your guys' average votes, this would be the perfect character roster. The least voted character in the entire poll was actually Rambi. Look at that graph. You do not want to see that with an average vote of 0.59. So sad. But that's just how it goes. Some of the characters that have yet to be featured in a Mario Kart game maybe better not featuring a market game in the future. Maybe that's just for the better. Well, guys, that is it. That is the character roster, 48 characters, your guys' community's perfect Mario Kart roster. Let me know what you guys think down below, and make sure to subscribe if you're new. We do stuff like this all the time, and we're nearing 10K subscribers. Let's get there nice and strong. Here we go, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out of here.